coming right at you.
Let's go, guys. Welcome back to Hightop Baseball. Guys, we got a good episode for you today. The Gators are 13-1, 13-game win streak since they dropped that opening night game against UAB. It's the longest win streak in Gator baseball program since that 2020 season when they started, I believe, 20-1, but went on a 16-game win streak there. So Gators are playing really good ball, man. We got a good episode for you today. We're going to talk through those weekday games, Tuesday versus FAU. Wednesday versus FAMU. We'll go through box scores, game notes, advanced metrics. We'll look at Sully's post-game comments. Pretty good games, right? Fun games to watch. A little closer on that Wednesday game than we would have liked, but the boys are playing good baseball. So we'll talk through those games. We'll highlight the high point just briefly. High point coming in this weekend. But before we get going, couple quick comments. This upcoming Tuesday, the 10th, the Gators host Florida State. I unfortunately can't make it up because it's a weekday. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a watch party. So I'm going to talk to Shelton. I'll talk to the Hightop guys, figure out the best way to do this. But I assume it's just going to be through the YouTube. I'll make sure an announcement comes out. I'll post something on the Twitter. Try to post something on the YouTube if you aren't on Twitter. So maybe you'll get a notification there. But I'm planning to do an FSU watch party. You can hop on YouTube. We can watch it together. We can just talk about the game, as we watch it. I'm gonna reach out to a couple people, man. Maybe we can get a couple guys to call in, kind of talk to them as we watch the game. So exciting stuff there. I'll give you guys more announcements over the next couple days. So make sure you subscribe to Hightop Baseball. Hit that bell so that if I do post an announcement, you guys will get notified. So you can stay on top of that. And then last announcement: YouTube hit 500 subscribers. Really big milestone. Really appreciate you guys. The support on this has been absolutely unreal. So what I was saying was I was going to do a giveaway when we did hit 500. So what we're going to do is go ahead, if you're watching this, pause the video, right? Scroll down into the comments and go ahead and just tell me maybe your favorite Gator baseball player of all time, a favorite Gator memory of all time. Tell me the favorite player that you're watching this year, what you're excited for about the program. Can be really anything, right? I'm gonna pick 3 of you guys in the comments. And I'll reach out and then we'll get in touch and I'll get you a hat or a shirt or something. So, all right. So if you're watching this, go ahead and just pause the video, right? Scroll down, get in those comments. Tell me favorite memory, favorite player, something you're excited for, favorite player from this season, right? Just really anything. I'm going to pick 3 of you guys from the comments. I'll get in touch with you. I'll send you a hat or shirt or something. So I really appreciate you guys, man. Make sure when you are in those comments, man, make sure you're subscribed to Hightop Baseball. And then hit that bell, right? So I can notify you about watch parties. You can get notified when new videos come out. So, all right, I think that's it for the announcements. Let's get into these games. All right, and as we dive into that Tuesday game, right, I think the first thing we're going to talk about here is Brennan Lawson, right? So we saw that Brennan Lawson had a good day at the plate, right? And then there near the end of the game, right, he got hit in the elbow. Like you see here, Nick Delatorre tells us, right, he had his Evo shield on, but I did see that he got hit on that elbow, probably right on the bone. Even with the shield on, that's not going to feel good. I had read something that maybe his hand went numb. You could definitely see he was working on it as he was walking down to first base. Ends up getting taken out, right? It seemed precautionary. Adrian posted that Sully did mention post-game. It was just smart to take him out as a precaution. I think all of Gator Nation held our breath, right? Already seeing Curlin get hurt with a hit by pitch. All the injuries we dealt with last year. All of Gator Nation, right? And all of college baseball. Brennan Lawson's one of the best baseball players in all of college baseball. So I know everyone, all fans around the world were kind of holding their breath there. But really good to see as we go into Wednesday, right, that he was DHing. He was able to swing a little bit. Didn't have the best night at the plate Wednesday, but just the fact that he was in there, right? If there was any question marks about health with him, Sully would have rested him for the weekend. So really good to see him back in there, but just wanted to do a quick update on Brennan Lawson. Okay, so let's jump over to Tuesday, right? And we're going to start with game notes. Again, right, these are just kind of notes I'm taking as I'm watching on my phone throughout the game, talking points that we can come back to when it comes to box scores and stuff, right? We'll dive into the kind of the stats that jump off the box score. These are more talking points that I don't think you'd see in a box score. So let's just run through it, right? First inning, we get another one of those tough pop-ups between shortstop and left field, Brennan Lawson, Blake Sear. One of those pop-ups that have been giving us trouble. And we saw it in the Stetson game. We kind of broke it down a couple weeks ago. Really nice play by Sear to go get that one. So, when we talk about mistakes and stuff, I'm going to make sure we talk about the positives. You can see these guys are working on this stuff when they do make these errors. So really love to see that out of Blake out there in left field. Jones, best leadoff hitter in the country. right? During that Tuesday game, he had his 9th multi-hit game of the season. Reached base in every game so far this season. So Kyle Jones having an absolutely incredible year at the plate. Um, there's a couple different notes throughout here. And Adrian and I were kind of talking about it on Twitter, right? You can see these guys are wanting to run, right? Sully wants these base runners to kind of run, make the defense make plays. We're stealing, we're hitting, running, we're sack bunting, right? Playing a lot of good small ball fundamental baseball. Yeah, and right here in the first inning, right, we had Jones on first. Brendan Lawson, I believe, had a full count at the time. And Jones stole, right, which would be a run and hit, right? It's not a hit and run because you're not telling Brendan to pretty much swing at anything, right? A hit and run, that hitter is gonna be swinging at anything close to trying to get a bat on the ball. More of a run and hit here, which is pretty much just a steal. But then Lawson obviously having a full count, right? If it's a strike, he's allowed to swing. So pretty cool little run and hit there with Jones and Lawson in the first inning. Bowen, huge 2-out RBI in this one, right? He's not having the hottest little streak here. Definitely struggling over the last couple games. Really good 2-out RBI here by Bowen. Stanford keeps it going, right? He has a 5-game hit streak as of this Tuesday game versus FAU. It's going to be hard to keep his bat out of the lineup. You can see we're putting Bowen at first, Stanford behind the plate, right in that Wednesday game, rotating things around. It's going to be really hard to keep Stanford's bat out when he's hitting like he is. Ashton Wilson, right? Drop third strike, doesn't run it out. Probably one of the few rare times Ashton doesn't run out a drop third strike, and that's just baseball, right? Because then you see the catcher drops it, kind of fumbles it around a little bit. Ashton probably would have been safe at first, maybe, and that's baseball, man. When you kind of don't do what you're supposed to do, you make one of these mental errors, right? The sport of baseball is just going to highlight it right there in front of you. So I think Ashton was saying first base was occupied, right? That matters when there isn't 2 outs, but when there is 2 outs, right, it doesn't matter if first base is occupied. You always run. So there's a mental mistake by Ashton. I know he's going to be better there. That's an easy fix. And we get Sandifer back, right? And he goes runners on second and third, 1 out, and goes strikeout to end the inning. I believe it was the third inning over there. Some nasty backdoor curveballs. And those backdoor curveballs were so nasty. Let's take a look at them. You can see here, second and third, 2 outs on this one. Nice little really good work by the catcher as well, kind of pulling that in. We have a couple clips. I believe it's from the Wednesday game, just where you can see our catchers just creating strikes, right? Maybe a couple inches off the plate. And just the way they're receiving that ball back there, it's really selling it to the umpire. So nasty stuff out of Russell there. Really good to see him back and healthy, and he's going to be a big arm for us. So we definitely need this kid to stay healthy and stay confident. Next note, right? Lawson is inevitable. Brendan Lawson is inevitable. One of the best hitters in college baseball. And he gets a hold of another one, and we got to take a look at it, right? It's another one of these home runs by Brendan where it's backside or even a little to center, right? Leaks a little towards left. Just absolutely smoked. Off the batter's eye in center field, full count. This kid, he's just an insanely good hitter, right? He can pull you down the line. He can go backside. We saw him hit that one backside last week to left center. This kid, I mean, he's leading us in home runs. I think he's already got over half of the home runs he had in the entire season last year. So we're seeing him for a little bit more power, right? He's a sophomore. He's growing into his body a little bit. So really, really exciting stuff to watch out of Brendan Lawson. Again, right, running people on the bases. Stealing bases turns into freebies, right? Is that one, I believe, is the double steal. First and second, we were trying to steal second and third. Catcher throws it into the outfield. Looked like he slipped a little bit on his throw. Results in a run scoring, right? That runner that stole second then went to third on the throwing error. And then next at bat, I believe, was just like a sack ground ball, right? Get him in less than 2 outs. You hit a little ground ball up the middle. Give up your out, take the run. So stealing bases turns into freebies. Freebies turn into runs, man. We've been talking about it. And then that's that second runs times 2, right? The throwing error puts someone on third, ground ball gets them in. So really cool to see how Sully's kind of implementing small ball, taking extra bases, stealing bases on the base path. So good stuff there. Nice play by Lawson in the top of the 5th. It's been fun to watch this kid kind of growing into the shortstop that I think we all want him to be. So I'm trying to make sure I'm highlighting these times when we see a nice play by Brendan. So top of the 5th, had a pretty nice play there at shortstop. Stanford, right? Cole Stanford behind the plate. You can see him, the leader that he is, even being a backup catcher, right? That leadership that he shows. Sanford comes in, right? Walks the 9-hole. The leadoff comes up and he starts 1-0, and Cole calls time and immediately goes out there. Talks to Sanford a little bit. And then Skylar Wright comes back immediately, gets a fly ball to left field, and then a 5-3 ground ball to end the inning. So it's really good leadership there out of Stanford to go talk to your pitcher, kind of get him back on track, and then it worked right away. So I love that out of Cole. Next note was interesting, right? Brennan Lawson showing bunt, right? So these guys, he's such a good hitter, right? They're shifting him. You've got second base playing shallow right field. You got shortstop playing pretty much second base. Your third baseman's all the way, almost double play depth as a deep shortstop. So there's no one on that left side of the infield. And Brennan shows bunt twice, right? He didn't end up putting them down. I think one was a ball, maybe one was a strike, and we've seen him do that a couple games now, right? He's showing bunt. If you're going to give him to him, he's going to take a free base. So pretty cool to see there out of Brendan. Skylar Sanford, man, looked amazing in relief, right? We talk about this circle of trust. Absolutely a guy that has been added into that circle of trust with Sully. We'll talk about that here during the stats portion at the end of this, near the end of this video. But Skylar Sanford, man, looked absolutely amazing in relief. And we got a clip we're going to watch right here of him, man. That is some nasty off speed. Absolutely. Let's watch it again. Nasty. Absolutely nasty. When you're spotting his fastball like he is, right, it's impossible to kind of lay off that low off speed. So really, really good stuff out of the Sandman on Tuesday night. All right, next game note, right? So we've been talking about it, Sully making a point to move runners on the bases, right? We're manufacturing runs with the way these guys hit the baseball. Right, you steal a base, could be a run on the next pitch, right? So just really good stuff out of Sully. It's exciting to kind of see how his brain's working, looking at this offense, realizing what he's going to have to do to make runs. And honestly, if we got guys that can steal bases, we got guys that can hit, right? You're trying to run that score up, right? That's scoring runs wins games. That's pretty simple math. So Sully's definitely making a point to move those runners. Schwartz, right? We'll talk about him a little bit more on Wednesday as well. But Colton Schwartz, man, is hitting the ball well. A lot of QABs in his limited opportunities so far this season. Really nice plays out of Wednesday. We'll talk more about that later. But really good stuff out of Colton there on Tuesday night. Pitching dominated, right? The bullpen's been pretty solid, been fun to watch. We'll talk during Circle of Trust, but I mean, you've got, right, Liam, and then it looks like you could go Reith into Barberry. And then once we get King back healthy, right, you got King, and then King goes into Ernesto to Reitner. I mean, that's elite stuff, right? And then that leaves you Sunday with Walls, with Sandifer, with Sanford, with McDonald, with, I mean, McNeil, right? So you got a lot of guys still on that Sunday arm. You can almost turn into a bullpen game, which I'm not saying you have to, right? Cooper Walls has been pitching well. So really good to see the arms kind of coming alive, right? We're going to watch that Circle of Trust and bring more people into it. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of this bullpen so far. And obviously we'll get some more tests here. FSU on Tuesday, obviously High Point this weekend, but FSU on Tuesday next week. And then the first opening of the conference series against South Carolina in about a week. And then last game note from Tuesday, right? Longest win streak since 2020, right? That 2020 team unfortunately canceled because of COVID. Could have been one of Sully's best teams ever. They had a 16-0 run during that year. So longest win streak that this Gator baseball program's seen since 2020. So really good stuff. All right, we'll jump quickly into the box score. Just kind of talk about things that jump off the page, right? So looking at the score here, 4-0 Florida. Really good shutout by the pitchers. We out hit them 9-4, right? So not our biggest hitting game, only 9 hits, but got the job done here. If we're talking crooked innings, right? Florida has 1 here, there in the 4th. FAU obviously has 0, didn't score a run. Only 9 hits, right? So not a ton jumps off the screen here, right? Brennan did have that home run we watched earlier. Pitching, right? So we got to see Cooper Walls come in, throw his little controlled start there. 1 strikeout, 1 hit, no earned runs. Looked good. Sandifer looked good. Like we talked about, Sanford looked awesome. Barberry looked awesome. Just a really good night from the pitchers, right? You can see 3 walks across 9 innings. And this is kind of what you maybe could expect out of a Sunday start one day, right? A controlled start, maybe an opener like we hear these days, Cooper Walls. And then you just go couple innings, right? You kind of ride these guys, change up the looks every time you probably get through the order, right? Give them a new look every time. So you never know, man, right? If we have Liam and King going deep into these games, right, we have arms to throw on these Sundays. So could be maybe some foreshadowing. I think Walls is going to be able to go 5 or 6 for us a lot of the time too. So I'm not saying he needs to move to an opener or anything. And then defense, right? 0 errors. Love to see it. All right, jumping over to QABs from that FAU game on Tuesday, right? Brennan Lawson 4 for 4, Blake Sear 3 for 4. I mean, we got Sear, Stanford, and Bowen all 750 on QABs. Jones, Strayer, Serwick 500. Wilson and Schwartz, right? Schwartz has been having a lot of good QABs here. We'll see it. We'll talk Wednesday as well. But really good night at the plate from the guys, especially that top of the order. Okay, jumping over to our advanced metrics, right? 595 for that game. QABs, that's right on the borderline, right on that threshold of elite. First man on offense, 2 for 8, could be a little better. But right, we were scoring runs without, so 4-0, right? You also didn't have a ton of offense, not the best offensive game out of either side. So FAU 1 for 9, first man on defense. So as a pitching staff, right, really good stuff to get out there and get the first man out. We talked Cooper Walls getting a controlled start just because he's going to throw again on Sunday, right? That rain out on Sunday in Miami, you don't want to miss a start. Go 2 weeks without throwing. So just a nice little controlled start, probably right around 40 pitches I think he threw. So didn't expect to get a quality start out of him on Tuesday. And then freebies. 3 walks out of Florida. It's the only freebies we gave up all night. 6 out of FAU. We win the freebie battle. We win the game, right? That metric holds true. All right, finally, we'll dive into Sully's post-game comments. Right, everyone did their job, right? He taught this immediately kind of goes into pitching, right, with Cooper and Russell and Skyler and Barberry, right? Everyone looked really solid night by the pitching staff. Sully was saying, right, that pitcher for FAU gave Miami fits last week. Lefty, right? We haven't had a ton of experience facing lefties so far this year. We saw the Miami lefty kind of give us some trouble over the weekend. So really good to see us kind of get on to him. Good at bat by Bowen, like we talked about, right, to get that 2-out RBI. Lawson had the home run. Good situational hitting. Some hit and running with guys, right? So even Sully's there talking about how he's trying to move guys on the bases. So one of the cleaner games they've played. Down night for the offense. So really good to see how this team can kind of win a game just a little bit differently than we have maybe in just outscoring guys 10-7 and stuff like that. So he talks about playing Bowen at first tomorrow night, right? Cole behind the plate. We saw that on Wednesday. Nadeau, Colt, some starts, right? Lawson's going to be fine. Probably going to DH, maybe give him the day off. Really good to see he was DHing. That tells you that he was fine. Maybe just hit that funny bone, numbed that hand. That's why he came out Tuesday night. So playing different lineups, right? We have this depth on this team. We have the ability to move pieces around, get some guys some days off, right? We saw Kyle Jones get a day off on Wednesday, get other people at bats in case they are needed later in the season, right? Just continuing to move stuff around. So really good stuff there. And FAU's a good ball club, right? And now we've stayed perfect in these midweek games. I think Sully kind of preached on a sense of urgency going into this year. Midweeks have been a big issue for us in the past, so we'll talk Wednesday night, but you can tell Sully cares about these midweek games. And a lot of this, right, he's saying here, a lot of it has to do with the depth we have, right? These midweek games sometimes give you troubles because you're not pitching your Liams, your Aidens, your Coopers, right? You're throwing these guys that aren't necessarily going to pitch on weekends. And so, yeah, you might be a higher competition, right? But you're throwing your 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th starter right down on the list. You're just trying to get innings for guys that didn't get any reps over the weekend. So definitely an opportunity for some of these weekday clubs to kind of put some runs up on you and maybe give you a scare. So really good to see how this team has kind of battled and stayed perfect in these midweek games. All right, we'll jump over to the Wednesday game now. Start with our game notes. Lawson's in the lineup. I think that was the biggest takeaway, the 90 minutes pregame when we saw that lineup come out. We saw Lawson DH, and we've talked about it. That tells you everything you need to know about his health moving forward. Give him a night off in the field, but let him stay at the plate. So really good stuff there. Freebie on a strikeout to start the game. All right, so we had that drop third strike. Catcher sails it out into the outfield. Hey, that's baseball, right? Ends up scoring. That's what happens in baseball, man. You have a free out, and you immediately give them a free base. It's going to come around to score almost every time. It's the beauty of the sport. Got to be able to make your plays. So got to be better there. Bowen, nice play on a pop-up at first, right? So he's got his, I think, 2nd start maybe at first base, making good plays out there. So really good to see how, even our catchers, we talked about the flexibility of this infield. Even our catchers can kind of move around and stuff. So really good to see there out of Carson. Luke still not sharp. What was his line? 2 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So not horrible, right? But when you have 3 hits and 2 walks across 2 innings, man, that's just not the McNeely we want to see. So, I mean, he'll continue to work on it. I think there was some hints that he might have been dealing with a little lingering injury or something. So hopefully he's just still trying to get back to full speed, kind of find that release point and stuff. So got to see better out of Luke moving forward. He's a big arm for us. So I expect he's going to turn it around. Great base running by Schwartz, right? So he had a single up the middle. I think man on first, guy on first was going first to third. The center fielder kind of booted it a little bit, trying to field it, right? And Colton's on second. Those are huge base running moments, right? When you, if let's say Colton, right, hits that ball up the middle, it's right at the center fielder. He knows he's not getting a double out of this, right? So he kind of dogs it, maybe takes it slow rounding. You're not where you need to be when that ball gets bobbled to take second base, right? It tells you a lot about the kid. He's busting it out, even if it's just a routine single. He sees that bobble, he's on second base. Really good base running out of Colton. And then Sam Miller, right, immediately gets a 2-out RBI to tie the game. So again, right, if Colton's not on second, that Sam Miller single is only 1 RBI. So really good base running leads to a scored run right away. So love to see that there. Surwick's hitting the ball great. We've talked about it all year. Kids put great QABs on. You just want to see it in the box score, and he's having an incredible year. 10-game hit streak, reached base in every game in his Gator career. Love to see it. Really love to see it out of Ethan. He's that guy, man. We were talking about perfect game, not putting him on the top 100 sophomores or something. I mean, maybe we're Gators, right? And we have the rose-colored glasses. We expect the most out of him. But this kid's going to have an incredible year. I was kind of saying how I think a lot of these perfect games, Baseball Americas, right, they're going to look back, and if they didn't rank this Surwick kid where he needs to be, they're going to regret that. This kid's an incredible baseball player. Billy Barlow, right, at this point when I wrote this note, he was dealing. I think he ended up giving a couple runs up there at the end of his stretch, right? But he looked really good. He was spotting his pitches, right? You can see that control and that command out of Billy that we need to see for him to be successful. So I thought he looked good through the first couple innings. Maybe near the end there, he started giving up a couple runs. But when I wrote this, I thought he was looking pretty good. Colton Schwartz swinging it so well, right? We've talked about it back-to-back nights. He was 2 for 4 in this game with 3 total bases, an RBI, 2 runs scored. I mean, a really good night out of Colton Schwartz. Miller was red hot, right? 2 for 4 with 2 total bases, 3 RBIs. In the bottom of that order, I mean, Stanford was 0 for 1 with 2 hit by pitches and a walk, so getting on base. Colton Schwartz, like we talked about, 2 for 4. Sam Miller, 2 for 4. Hayden Yost, 1 for 3. Bottom of the order put on a hitting clinic on Wednesday night, man. You love to see that. Sear with a really nice 2-out RBI. That leadoff spot is blessed. I mean, whoever gets penciled into that one hole is just going to have a good night. I know Sears had a really good season so far, but 2 for 4, 2 total bases, RBI, and a walk for Blake Sears. So really good stuff, kind of filling in for Jones in that leadoff spot. So we get that lead, right? And we immediately walk a hitter that's batting 83, right? That's just, you throw 3 fastballs down the middle before you walk an 0.83 hitter. And again, right, this baseball, you walk a guy like that, it's going to lead to runs. So immediately turns to runs. Schwartz, right? He's made some really nice plays defensively. I think it was Tuesday night. He had a really hard hit ball to his left that he just took care of, no problem. Wednesday night, right? He's got this play right here. Really nice play in the top of the 7th here. Hard line drive, full extension. I mean, you could turn that into a Jordan logo. See if they give us a better replay. I mean, really nice stuff out of Colton, man, the freshman. Really love to see that. Craig Kimbrell, 28. Very different look, right? This is probably a confusing note when I posted this on Twitter after the game for anyone that wasn't really tracking. But that little 28 pitcher for a FAMU, right? He kind of winged out like this when he would get his signals, and kind of reminded me of Kimbrell a little bit. He wasn't pitching like Kimbrell, but definitely a different look for these Gators, right? He was in the 70s, right? A little side armor in the 70s. I think I heard Jeff even say one of his off speeds got into the 60s. So just a different look. He pitched all right, but just a unique look, right? When these Gators get into conference play, they're going to expect to see mid to high 90s. Right, to see a 60 off speed is pretty crazy. It's definitely a different look. So he pitched all right. A FAMU goes up 1, right, and 2 outs, nobody on, and they go 4 freebies in a row to tie the game. Right, walk, hit by pitch. Just makes you cringe reading that if you're not a Gator, man. Brutal freebies to tie the game up. And then we got the safety bag rule, which scores 2, right? So we'll pull this video up real quick. You can see here Colton, right? Ground ball back to the pitcher. Pitcher panics. Take your time. Throws it up. First baseman, plenty of time, but only touches on that steps on that safety bag. right? And the safety bag's there for the runner, right? This is for when those balls maybe get sailed from a shortstop or something. The guy's got to jump. You don't want collisions at first, right? So you give that runner the green bag to run through, and that first baseman has to use the white bag. Have to use the white bag. That's the rule, right? So this ball takes him. He has plenty of time to go back and step on it, and you could. I think he knew right away, but safety bag rule, man. Scores 2, right? Really good job by our coaching staff and our players here to send that runner on second, knowing there's 2 outs, right? If something happens, we're scoring 2. First baseman kind of panicking here. Gators go up 7-5. So you go into that inning down 1, right? Down 1, 2 outs, nobody on. And you go walk, 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 hit by pitch, safety bag, scores 2. So you've got 5 hitters. Only one of them put the ball in play, and it didn't even go 50 feet. And we scored 3 runs. I mean, that's just those are the type of stats you look back on, and you're not going to win that game if you're on the poor end of that list right there. So, score 2 with the safety bag rule, score 3 without the ball going more than 60 feet in total across 5 hitters. The Ernesto Strut, man, in all of its glory. I love this kid. He is easily becoming one of my favorite pitchers out of the bullpen. When he's on, he's confident. And when he's striking dudes out, man, the way he just kind of like pops his head up and stiffens up and struts around that mound, man, the Ernesto Strut needs to get trademarked. Well, maybe we'll come up with some shirts or something for him, but really, really fun watching that kid. Once again, right, Gators are moving runners on the bases, so smart back throw by the FAMU catcher, right? We I think Lawson, I forget who was in front of him, but we were first and second, stealing second and third. Lawson didn't get the best jump at first, which doesn't really matter because you rarely see the back pick by the catcher. But really good stuff to throw Lawson out at second, so I thought that was worth it. Then a nice play by Miller there in the last inning. So good stuff out of Wednesday, right? Not the cleanest game, but once again, right, I think the biggest takeaways from this game is you saw Sully cares about these midweeks, right? I think he mentioned coming into the season that sense of urgency was needed around this program. We had dropped way too many midweek games in past years. And this was definitely a night where he wanted to see Jackson Hoyt, right? He wanted to see Eli Blair. He wanted to get some of these pitchers some more reps, maybe some confidence. Some of these kids that haven't been throwing a ton of strikes, trying to get them some confidence against a team like FAMU. And when we kind of don't go up early, we end up going down late. You could tell Sully wants to win this game, right? It's why you saw Ernesto. It's why you saw Reitner. You could tell, Ren, he put all chips on the table. We're going to go win this midweek game. So it's really good stuff to see that Sully's really put a microscope to these midweek games. He cares about them. And we're going to go anytime the Gators take the field, we're going to go out and try to win these games. All right, quickly into QABs. Blake Sear, 3 for 5 from that leadoff spot. Really good stuff out of him. Not the best night at the plate for some of the hitters, right? Brendan Lawson, 2 for 5. Surowick, 3 for 5. But that bottom of the order, man, Stanford, Schwartz, Miller, all 3 for 4 quality at bats. Yosti went 1 for 3. Strayer still doing great, 2 for 4. Kyle Jones kind of comes in and pinch hits, so just an 0 for 1 night for him. But overall, man, the bottom of that order put on a hitting clinic for us on Wednesday night. Then for advanced metrics, so we're 538 QABs, above average. That'll win you ball games. 1 for 8 first man on offense, not very good, right? Definitely got to try to get these leadoffs on more often. But on the other side, right, FAMU only 2 for 9, so again, not the best night for them either. We weren't expecting a quality start. I think these quality starts are really only going to be weekends, right? Because you're trying to get so many guys innings on these midweek games. So we didn't expect Luke to get a quality start here. 2 innings pitched, 1 earned runs, and then the freebie battle, right? So you had 5 freebies and 5 hitters in that bottom of the 7th, right? So you had walk, 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 hit by pitch, error. 5 freebies turn into 3 runs, and those 5 freebies right there are pretty much the difference in this freebie battle. So Florida has 6, FAMU has 11. Gators win the game 7-5. And to wrap up the Wednesday game, let's go to Sully's post-game comments, right? Reitner, 14 pitches, 12 strikes. When it comes to Josh Reitner, right, he's got so much juice in that arm, and you've heard Sully kind of talk about he's trying to find that release point, right? He's a young kid coming off an injury. You're just trying to kind of rein in and control all that juice in that arm. So when you have 12 strikes on 14 pitches, that shows you that he's locked in, and he was outstanding. FAMU played well. We hurt ourselves a little bit, got fortunate with that bottom of the 7th inning with that play at first. Loved the way Ernie threw, right? They kept him at a low pitch count because they're going to need him Friday night. Thought Caden threw as well, right? I think another McDonald, another guy that's in that circle of trust we'll talk about here in a minute. So overall, man, good night. Good night out of those guys. Blake Sear had 2 hits. Sam Miller's double was huge for us. But right, Sully gets it. Player of the game for us, Colton Schwartz. Multiple hits, really good defense. Just a really, really good night out of the freshman, which you love to see. Really, really fun to watch him. Sully talking about the soft pitching, right? Kind of that Craig Kimbrell guy we were talking about. Definitely a different look. It's no excuse. A couple guys just had some tough nights. Good news is they got to see more lefty arms. But FAMU really just played tough today, right? They were a tough ball club, and this is baseball, man. You see it all across baseball, all across the SEC. I think last night LSU, Georgia, Southern Miss. I mean, you got top 10, 15 teams losing to just pretty much nobodies in these midweek games. So it's baseball, man. Any given night, if you don't show up, these are D1 baseball players. They're going to take it to you. So hats off to FAMU, man. They played well. Really good win by the Gators, though. And then High Point, we'll get into them here in a little bit, but they're pretty darn good, right? They've made regionals recently. They Sully feels they have 3 good starters, pretty decent ERAs, a couple lefties in the middle of the order. So definitely going to be a challenge, right? We're not going to take them lightly. We're going to get to see all the horses throwing the bats, hopefully stay alive. So exciting stuff heading into this weekend versus High Point. All right, so let's jump over to stats. All right, we'll just use this time to kind of talk about the season as a whole, kind of where we're at, different stuff. But let's start with the freebie battle. All right, so we are 13-1, played 14 games. We've won the freebie battle 11 times this season. We've won all 11 of those games. We've lost the freebie battle once. We lost that one game versus UAB. And we tied the freebie battle twice, and we won both of those games as well. So 13-1, right? Freebie battle metric here is if you just don't lose, we win the game. So see how that continues to play out, but definitely showing itself here early on in the season. All right, let's talk Sully's circle of trust, right? He was talking about the Meet the Parents movie and kind of talking about that circle of trust with his pitching staff, right? And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of keep an updated list of what I think Sully's circle of trust looks like as we get closer to these conference games and playing some real meaningful baseball, right? Your 3 starters are obviously trusted, right? Sully's giving them the ball to go get 6 or 7 innings, go eat a game away. So the starters definitely have Sully's trust. That's an easy one. But it's out of the bullpen, right? And I think your guys out of the bullpen right now that Sully really trusts are Barberry. Absolutely, right? He's going to be our number 1 closer. I think Lugo Controlla, Ernesto's had an incredible start to his career in Gainesville. You saw Sully talking about we're going to throw him Friday. So you'd likely see Liam into Ernesto into Barberry, which is a pretty nasty 3 pitchers that any team's going to have to face on a weekend game. Reitner, really figuring it out. He's going to be, it's almost like we have 2 closers, right? And we have, I saw Adrian at Gator Diamond Pod said he feels like Sully's got 2 Neelys, right? You got 2 Brandon Neelys with Barberry and Reitner, which is really fun because then you could throw Barberry Friday, Reitner Saturday, Barberry Sunday. I mean, you really never lose them, and you kind of get to extend them, right? We've talked about how Sully likes these closers to throw 2-3 innings if there's a big moment, maybe in the 7th he wants to bring him in or something. So really a real luxury to have 2 closers at this level like Sully does. Ricky Reith, right? The Notre Dame transfer has been pitching out of his mind so far this year, been eating innings, kind of like more of an extended bullpen arm if our starter doesn't go as long as we want him to. So Reith is absolutely in the circle of trust. Skylar Sanford in that circle of trust. I think even Sully said it in a post game, maybe over the weekend, maybe Tuesday, something like that. But Sully loves watching this kid. Right? He's a kid we're going to see big innings out of. Caden McDonald. Caden McDonald's ERA might not necessarily show it, but we've talked about it in past videos. He's coming in with big leads. I'm just asking you to throw strikes. Right? I don't care if you give up a couple runs. If we have a 7-run lead, don't walk guys. Fill up the zone. Just attack hitters, and that sometimes results in some runs. So I think Sully's happy with everything he's seen out of Caden McDonald so far, and it shows you how much he trusts him as a pitcher that we haven't seen him hit as much as maybe we thought he would. I was expecting him to be way more of a 2-way player this year, and to have only gotten maybe 4 or 5 at-bats out of him. Right? I think he's got 1 start. Outside of that, a couple pinch hits. So you can tell how much Sully trusts him on the mound with him being more specialized and focused on that position. Russell Sandifer, when he's healthy, man, and I think he is now, he's back. He's absolutely in that circle of trust. And then McNeely, right? I think he is in Sully's circle of trust, but he's got to show us something a little more, right? He's really only thrown Tuesdays, weekday games, and just hasn't looked really sharp yet. So I think McNeely's in it, right? I put the question mark there just because I think we need to see a little more out of him. But I think with his history, right, Luke's absolutely in that circle of trust. So a couple guys, right, that still need to get added into it, right? You see Jackson Hoyt come in and throw some strikes. The issue here, looking at that list on the right, and even on the left, right, we have one lefty? Yeah, Lugo Conchola, our only lefty. So we definitely need to get Blair. We need to get Hoyt. We need to get these guys confident, filling up the zone, throwing strikes, get them added into this circle of trust so we have more lefties we can kind of lean on as these conference games come around. All right, a couple more stats here. We'll go into the season QABs. You can see here, I've kind of formatted it so the colors kind of jump off the screen for you. But you can see Brendan Lawson still leading the way, right? He has 9 more QABs than our next best guy. Brendan Lawson, absolutely insane season so far. Over 700 QAB percentage. Sear, Strayer, Surwick, Jones, right? All at that 36 number. All over 570. Man, really, really good stuff there. Bowen's dropping a little bit, right? He's had a rough couple games at the plate. So that thing's down to 580 now. Remember, he was up around 700 maybe about a week or two ago. So he's definitely struggling at the plate right now. Cade Curlin, right? So big update here for Cade Curlin. Sounds like Sully is targeting maybe the FSU game. But right now it's the 13th, which is that Friday game versus South Carolina. So it sounds like Cade's working his way back. They're not going to rush him for the FSU game, but we should see him by the time conference play rolls around next Friday. So really good stuff there out of Curlin, right? He's 622 on the year. McDonald's 600. Some of these guys just haven't gotten a ton at bats. So good stuff there out of the QABs. And then finally, our home run prediction contest. Remember, we had a bunch of entries. Everyone picked a name and a number. Whoever hits this thing on the money, if someone does, I'm going to send them the 2017 replica national championship ring. So this is where we stand now, right? Brendan Lawson leading the way. We have 42 remaining regular season games. Remember, this contest includes everything: regionals, supers, Omaha. So only 42 regular season games. So that pace might not necessarily be on because you don't know how many postseason games we're going to play. But right now, Lawson's on pace for about 20. We had a lot of Brendan Lawson predictions. So if he does end up leading us in home runs this year, I do think we might have a winner. So really fun stuff to follow there. Staying on that circle of trust, right? I meant to mention this earlier when we were talking about Reitner, but this kid just has nasty stuff, right? I think he hit 100 again on Wednesday. But just when he's throwing, watch these 2 pitches right here. And if I was pitching Ninja, I'd overlay these, man. But I'd love for someone to do that. So just buries an off speed, right? But if that's a fastball, it's a strike on the lower end of the plate, right? So it's a hard pitch to lay off of. And that's a strike at your knees if you don't swing at it, but it's an off speed, so it dies into the dirt. And then you come here, right? And if you're looking off speed again, he runs a fastball up on you, right? So same thing there. If that's an off speed, it's dropping into the zone, so you got to swing. But next thing you know, it's 99 by your eyes. So there's a really good mix of pitches here by Reitner. He's a lot of fun to watch. I think this kid's going to be right. We obviously have Luke and we have other pitchers, right? But if I'm planting a flag on Josh Reitner, man, he's going to be an absolute stud. He's going to have a long MLB career, right? He just continues kind of control and rein in that arm. He's still a young kid coming off injury. Once he figures his arm out, man, and it looks like he is, right? We're watching it with our eyes right now. This kid's going to have an MLB career and a long one. So enjoy this kid while he's here, man. He's got nasty stuff. All right, let's go ahead and put a bow on today's episode. We'll jump over to our weekend opponent this week with High Point University. They are considered one of the stronger mid-major programs, right? They play in the Big South. They won that Big South Conference tournament in 2024, which got them into the NCAA tournament, right? So like Sully said, right, it's a team that's been to regionals in the last couple of years. Going into this year, right, they were one of the favorites. They were picked number 1 to finish in that Big South Conference again. So if that holds true, right, they're going to be once again another regional team. So another postseason team coming from one of these mid-majors. So can't take these guys lightly. They had 4 players selected to the 2026 Big South preseason all-conference team. Landon Johnson, he's an infielder and what many are calling kind of the centerpiece of their offense. Christian Smith's an outfielder. Wade Walton and Dylan Story, both starting pitchers. So you can see there, right, 2 starting pitchers on that all-conference team. So pretty good arms we're going to get to see this weekend. Then a couple other guys that made the all-conference team. So Landon Johnson, right, that infielder, that centerpiece we just talked about, he was named Big South preseason player of the year. So he's going to be one of those guys that they're going to be watching as just kind of the best player in that Big South conference. When it comes to national award watch list, right, Willie Ponce, their shortstop, named to the 2026 Brooks Wallace Award, which is your top shortstop in college baseball. So, all right, if he didn't show up necessarily on their best players. So maybe the bat isn't as good, but Willie Ponce probably really good in the field, right, if he's being named a top shortstop in college baseball. And then finally, we'll just go through their NCAA stats page, right? So they are 7-6, 538 on the year so far. They took the series against St. Joseph opening weekend. Close loss against Wake Forest, right? So they're playing some decent baseball there. They played Maine, dropped 1 to Maine. Looked like a 4-game series there. They've dropped 2 to Liberty, right? Only scoring 3 runs across those 2 games. So between that and Wake Forest, probably really only competition they've faced so far this year. And then Binghamton, so took 2 of 3 there. So they have yet to take a series. Dropping at least 1 to everyone they've played, which kind of shows in that 7-6 record. Hitting 265 as a team, 1.3 home runs per game, 1.8 doubles, not many, if any, triples, right? 0.15 triples per game. Slugging 461, OBP 379, scoring just a little over 6 a game. Batting average, right? Jack Clark leads them with the 500. There's that shortstop, Willie Ponce, leading the way with 13 runs scored. Jake McCarter's hit 4 home runs. Wow, so Willie Ponce maybe is a pretty good hitter for them, leading them with RBIs and stolen bases. Ty Brackbill, 19.1 innings pitched. He's got 3 wins as well. There's that Dylan Story, that pitcher, right? So maybe he's a save, right? So maybe he's a closer more than a starting pitcher. But pretty decent arms that we should expect to see, right? Hey, this is D1 baseball. We're not into conference play yet, so anyone we play, right, outside of Miami last weekend, but when you're playing a team like High Point, you expect the boys to go out there and sweep, right? I want to see our starting pitching do their job. I want to see the bats continue to just put good approaches on it. Forget the box score, right? Just continue to show quality at bats. I want to see the bullpen come in and throw strikes. I would love to maybe get a big enough lead where we can throw out a Hoyt or a Blair, try to pull some more people into that circle of trust that we're tracking. So exciting stuff this weekend, man. It's going to be the last weekend where we aren't playing meaningful baseball, right? Tuesday we get FSU. Next week we get South Carolina. So hey, we're in the thick of it right now, guys. All right, guys, I'll do it for today's episode. Remember, we're going to do a watch party Tuesday, 6:30. Versus FSU. I'll post some notifications on YouTube, on Twitter. So make sure you're following that. But it'd be through YouTube Tuesday, 6:30. That FSU game, gonna be exciting to watch that one. Remember to drop your comments down in the YouTube comments, right? Favorite Gator player ever, favorite moment, guy you're excited about for this season, really anything about the Gator program, right? I'll pick 3 of those guys. We'll get you guys some Hightop baseball merch. Exciting stuff, guys. Hey, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell. If you have friends, family that love Gator baseball, man, we got to get these subscribers up. It's been a lot of fun to communicate with you guys. Your support's been unreal. I appreciate it, guys. But as always, guys, God bless and go Gators.